Hello guys, welcome back to Fat City Vinyl. Got another vinyl update for you. Various finds from thrift stores, record stores, what have you, wherever I can find anything. First off though, got to take care of some business here. We lost the man, Chuck Berry. Got to take a moment and show what I have of him in my collection. Greatest hits. Pretty much the blueprint of rock and roll right there. Chuck Berry on top. Chess. Picked this one up in Seattle quite a few years ago, I remember. Pretty cheap. And of course, the London Sessions, featuring the notorious My Ding-a-Ling, one of his later hits. Also on chess. And cool gatefold there. Pioneer, pillar of rock and roll. What can you say about Chuck Berry? One more quick order of business. One for Helmut Diggy. Always wanting to see this guy. I got this from my old job actually. I used to work in a wetsuit manufacturing plant in the shipping department. And every year around Christmas the gifts from suppliers would start to roll in, and this was one of them. My boss basically handed this off to me. Did not want any part of this thing, so here it's been ever since. So that one's for Bill, Helmut Diggy. Goslar Ohlendorf. He'll always be Helmut Diggy to us. Getting into some finds. Found a very clean copy of this in a thrift store. It's the debut album by Buffy Sainte Marie. It's My Way. This was still in shrink when I found it. It was pretty yellowed and tattered, so I took it off. But as you can see, the cover is just in beautiful shape here. That's mid-60s, I think, on this one. Vanguard, of course. This has got some of her most well-known songs on here. Now That the Buffalo is Gone, her protest song about native issues. Codeine, drug song. Universal Soldier, which was covered by Donovan, among others. Found a copy of this in the same thrift store, actually, a different time now. I had this already on a later MCA pressing, but it's Who's Next, still in shrink. And it's pressing on Decca in fairly decent condition. It's got a few little scuffs, but pretty decent for how you usually find those things. And it was kind of funny, actually, because I found the record outside of the sleeve and just put it aside, thinking I'd never see the sleeve again, but I did, and it was still in shrink, in really nice shape. So I picked that one up. Also, actually, at the same store, I bought this probably to sell or trade, and then I put it on and enjoyed the heck out of it. So it's staying. Davy Jones, solo album from him. 1970, 71-ish, I think, on here. Post Monkeys on the Bell label. What you can expect from him, kind of baroque-y, sunshine pop. There's one track on here that has a bit of psych on it as well, but just very enjoyable album, straight through. I found a super clean copy of this one. This one I was missing by them. Fifth Dimension, Love's Lines, Angles, and Rhymes. It's got kind of a fold-out flap there. Very clean shape. Happy to add that one to the collection. Again on Bell. It's produced by kind of the usual crew. Bones Howe. They've got a couple of the Laura Nero songs on here. They always seem to do well with those. And also got a cover of Viva Torrado, which was better known in the version by El Chicano. So quite excellent record from them. This was a real bizarre find. Again, at the very same thrift store. I keep finding these things there. It is Johnny Hodges, Everybody Knows, and it's Impulse. It's actually a Canadian pressing on Spartan. Don't know if that will show up too well. The spine, unfortunately, is a bit chewed up, but other than that, it's in pretty decent shape. Johnny Hodges, kind of big band, Duke Ellington style jazz. Don't know too many of the players on here except for Russ Procope on sax. I have an LP by him. Jimmy Jones on piano. Grady Tate on drums. Nice jazz there. Getting into some soul, still on the Thrift finds. Frankie, Beverly, and Maze, their debut. This is 1978, 77. Capitol. They were located in the Oakland Bay area. Frankie, Beverly, some echoes of Marvin Gaye's singing style, but then musically they get into some more funk, particularly kind of the that Northern California kind of Tower of Power sound, bit of War in there as well, that kind of low-riding funk sound with the soul. Dope album. Again, same thrift store, yeah. All different visits, but as you can see, some eclectic things I pick up. Eddie Holman, I Love You. 1968, I think, on this one. This is his debut album. Has his hit song, Hey There Lonely Girl, which was adapted from Ruby and the Romantics' song, Hey There Lonely Boy. And he also does a cover of It's All in the Game, the Skyliners, Since I Don't Have You. Just a beautiful soul album. He could switch between a falsetto voice and more of a normal mid-range tenor, I guess you'd say. Excellent album there. This was from a different thrift store, from one I'd pop at once in a while if I'm driving by. I don't really have any great expectations of finding anything at this store. They have a tendency to price records up, and really random records at that. This day I popped in there, they had an Eddie Arnold album priced at $4. Another time I've seen average condition copy of Wings Over America priced at $20. But I walked in there this day and the record bins are half empty from what they usually look like, which was kind of not a good sign. But right at the front of one of the rows was this one, Ozzie Torrens, Boogaloo in Apartment 41. And the Boogaloo in the title is Latin Soul, which was a very bizarre find in this place. It's in Decca and excellent condition. 1968 on this one. I'll show you the label there. Beautiful LP. Full-on Latin renditions of songs by the Beatles, of course, Yesterday and Day Tripper. Cool Jerk by the Capitals. Burt Kempfert's Strangers in the Night. What else? Nancy Sinatra's These Boots Are Made for Walking. But full-on legit Latin sounds with Louis Ramirez on vibes, Al Abreu on sax, and Charlie Palmieri, brother of Eddie Palmieri, on piano. Some brilliant stuff here, and just about had a gasket when I looked. I found this and looked online and saw the first copy for sale at like $300. So very excellent find. Getting into some record store finds. This is one I was missing from this group. Cold Blood, Northern California group. Lydia Pence, the lead singer. Very soulful, and again, kind of a mix of rock, funk, and soul from these guys, and that kind of Oakland area blend that a lot of groups had. Tower of Power again. Cold Blood are one of the more well-known ones. Picked this one up pretty cheap. Blues Magoo's Electric comic book. On Mercury. Very nice condition on the vinyl. Cover's got a couple issues there, some writing, whatever, but got it pretty cheap. Only saw this, I almost picked this up at a thrift store a couple of years ago, but it had the wrong record inside. So I've been after that ever since. So kind of psychedelic, pop culture influence mixing up the blend. Canadian one. I saw this one in the VC. Seen it a couple of times. Cover really grabbed me. It is Kensington Market, Avenue Road. I think 1968 on this one. This is their debut. They're out of Toronto. That one's on Gold Warner Brothers label. Kind of folky psych, I would say. Just something very iconically Canadian about this cover. You know, while the kids their age in California were putting flowers in their hair, these guys are brushing the snow off. But look at those smiles. It's all good. Very nice album from them. Again, folky, psychedelic. Still digging into some local music. If you saw my my Canadian video, I found this one. It's called Pacific Salt. Recorded in BC, 1973. It's kind of jazz fusion. That came on the Gramophone label. There's a bit of rock on here. They get into a bit of soul and Latin as well, with tracks called Aztec and Four Leaf Clover Man. Pretty decent stuff. Local album. Eddie Palmieri, speaking of Eddie, the son of Latin music. Found this reissue very cheap in one of the local record stores. It's on Coco Records, mint condition. 1974 originally released. Killer Latin music. They got one long track on here on side B called Un Dia Bonito, which gets into more jazz, I guess, even a bit of psychedelic influence in there. But beautiful, beautiful album there. Some more jazz funk. Another reissue, Weldon Irvine Sinbad. Got this one pretty cheap as well, same store as that last one. BMG Special Products reissue. Weldon Irvine on keyboards and synth, Don Blackman on piano and vocals, Cornell Dupree and Eric Gale on guitar, Steve Gadd on drums. So killer lineup of players. Jazz funk. It's got covers of Stevie Wonder's Don't You Worry About a Thing and Marvin Gaye's What's Going On. Beautiful stuff again. As the records fall over. Last couple finds, Bobby Humphrey, Freestyle. It's a bit of a later one from her, 1978. But again, jazz flute, getting into the funk, getting into a bit of disco. Homemade Jam has got Stevie Wonder guesting on harmonica. Freestyle, sounds like she would be, it would sound great circling around the roller rink in 1978. Just great, funky, soulful stuff. Last couple of finds, reggae ones. I've had this on CD since it first came out in the late 90s, 1998, on the Heartbeat label. It is the Gladiators Bongo Red at Studio One. And this is a compilation of sides they recorded at Studio One in the 1970s, shortly before they started recording for Virgin Records, where they put out a series of acclaimed albums. The Gladiators are unusually in reggae. They were a self-contained band at the time, so they would back up a lot of the various people recording at Studio One, as well as putting out their own albums where they would play all the instruments as well as sing. Leader is Albert Griffiths, with various other members. Clinton Fearon, most notably. He's been based out of Seattle area for some years now. Has an acclaimed solo career down there. Very excellent compilation. Bongo Red, one of their greatest roots tracks. Last find on here. It's a UK one. I was really surprised to find this. Tradition, Moving On. This is from 1978, and it actually came out on RCA Victor. Tradition were a band out of London, and they kind of mix up that that classic UK lovers rock sound, which developed in the late 70s, along with more traditional roots and culture kind of lyrical content. So beautiful, beautiful harmonies, beautiful arrangements with the heavy roots sound. Tradition, excellent stuff here. So that's what I've got for you today, guys. Big whack of finds. Hope everybody's doing well out there. I'm getting over being sick. We're in the middle of spring break, and it's kind of been a bummer so far. There was a virus going around the whole house, but we're all on the mend. So hope everybody's doing well. Take care, and talk to you soon, guys.